Hey guys, my name is Olga and welcome back to my channel, and today we are gonna try new palette from Beauty Bay Daydreamer. You're gonna see swatches, we are gonna do free makeup looks, of course with wear test, and we are gonna discuss this beautiful palette, and of course we are gonna compare it a little bit to some other palettes. So take a seat and let's start. First look, and today I want to try Purple Story, and I want to try again as much as I can. Most likely I will use these two beautiful shimmers, these two matte eyeshadows, and don't know about others. But I definitely want to try these four shades, and we're gonna start today from Purple, beloved purple shade. And I want to draw a wing today. Yeah, that's the plan at least. Whoa! Looks great on this side. I'm not gonna use any eyeshadow primers. On this side, I will. Let's start and let's go. Beautiful purple shade. Super pigmented. Super pigmented, and you know what? It's even a little bit creamy. Great. I think it looks great. Now let's try beautiful lilac shade. Oh, it's great. Like such colors. And let's try to blend these two together. And we will see how it goes, of course. Well, not that easy to blend these two together, but I will do my best. Honestly, it's not that easy. You can mix them a little bit, but still there is something, and I would say that this beautiful lilac shade is a little bit patchy, especially right here. It's visible, like I have a small patch right here. Okay, can happen, and due to this, let's probably try to use this beautiful light pink shade for blending everything into skin, because, well, it seems like it's far better to use this lilac shade for just kind of pressing it, layering it, because from the blending point of view, it's not really the greatest, I would say. Blending the edges. Moving to shimmers, and we are gonna start from this beautiful dark shade. It has visible base, it's purple, so I'm gonna add it closer to the outer corner. And it's gonna be our kind of a transition shade. It contains a bit of blue, well, dark blue, of course. Well, you have to layer it, or you have to apply it over something, because again, it might be a little bit patchy if you don't apply a lot, but if you do, it looks wonderful and interesting. And in the center, I want to add this beauty. It contains a bit of purple as well. Grabbing it on a flat brush, it's doable. Some hairs, and starting from the center, of course. Wow, interesting shade. It's kind of a duochrome, I would say, and it has extra glitters. Applying it over the crease, of course, and mixing these two together. Moving to the lower lid, and again, I'm starting from dark purple and adding it to the outer corner right here. And on the lower lid, I want to have slightly pink story. So changing a brush, and let's probably try to add this beautiful bright pink. Grabbing it on a small brush, and as well, I want to try this bright pink on the lower lid. So starting from this one, I'm kind of blending these two together. Blending, and Let's try to add this beauty near under the pupil. So grabbing a little bit, it's a little bit flaky. If we compare this shade to others, it appears more like flaky. And wow, quite bright. And blending. Let's try to add this beautiful pastel pink shade. I used it today already, and I'm gonna try it in the inner corner. Why not? Yeah, looks interesting. Near the lash line and between the lashes, adding black eyeliner. In the waterline, I'm gonna add two liners. So the first one from Trended Up, it's a limited edition. The shade is amazing, but yeah, it was limited edition. Adding it fully currently in the waterline. And closer, probably near the pupil, I will add some glitters using eyeliner from Catrice, and I think that it's discontinued, shade 100. It looks like something transparent with a bit of lilac glitters. Adding it in the center, and I will draw a wing in the background. Final look, and I like what I have currently on my eyes. Beautiful, lovely color story, a bit of pink, a bit of purple, well, mainly purple, and looks great. Let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on my lids. Lip liner from Colourpop, shade Ash Tone. If you ever wanted to try something pink gray, mainly gray, this shade is great. A lip balm from Vivienne Sabo in shade 1, and a bit of this beautiful lip gloss from Fenty Beauty, shade Fussy, and beautiful lip combo palette. I've tried today 7 shades, and I'm quite happy about that. And I like shimmers. They are great, they are lovely. The only thing that you're not gonna be, most likely you're not gonna use this shade quite often, and actually I suggest doing a smoky eyes with this particular shade or using it as a transition shade. It looks great, it looks lovely, but it has visible base and it's quite dark, and be careful and don't forget to blend the edges, because otherwise it may appear a little bit kind of dirty if you just simply keep it as it is. Talking about this shade, it's easier to work with this one because it's not that dark, and it has visible base, but not that bright and not that dark, I would say. That's why you can easily wear it as you want, actually. And this shade is kind of lovely. It's shimmery, glittery, and it reminds me a little bit some toppers, some sparkles, beautiful, lovely shade. Talking about this one, actually it's a little bit strange because it's flaky. If we compare this shade to others, to other shimmers, this one is flaky. Yeah, just simply flaky. So be careful while applying, because some pieces, they may fall off and it won't be that easy to remove them. The shade itself is quite interesting. It has visible base, but you can apply it just simply like some glitters. Talking about matte eyeshadows, they're nice. I'm impressed by purple because it was easy. It was easy to work with it. It's quite creamy, it's quite pigmented, and it reminds me actually a purple shade from Natasha Denona Roxa palette. Roxa. And it's great. It's a beautiful purple shade. It's not dry at all. But if we talk about lilac, beautiful, lovely shade, but it's not that easy to blend it. And it doesn't really want, it's not that easy to mix these two, guys. They're getting separated. Anyway, you're kind of mixing, blending, and bam, 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 bam. Not that easy. You can spend more time, and it looks fine. Currently, it looks kind of fine, especially on this eye, but it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? And I suggest layering this shade because it's kind of pastel, light, beautiful, and if you apply it over some liners or liquid eyeshadows, it should be fine, it should be great. The shade itself is beautiful, but it's a little bit tricky. Yeah, talking about this one, it was easy. It was easy to work with it was easy to layer. It looks great in the inner corner, and but actually it wasn't that easy to blend these two guys again. Maybe it's because of this beautiful lilac shade, I don't know, but you should just simply be careful with it. Talking about this one, pink bright, and you know what, guys, it can stain a little bit, so be careful with this shade, but it's quite lovely, beautiful bright pink shade, like it. For now, seems quite nice, especially knowing the price. I think that this palette is great, and all palettes from Beauty Bay are great. Okay, now I'm gonna show you eye look closely, and we're gonna see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on around 12 hours, and now we're gonna check everything out. On this side, I haven't used an eyeshadow primer, and yes, eyeshadows, they can crease a little bit, but I can't really tell you that it looks bad, no. On this side, I've used an eyeshadow primer, and everything looks perfectly. And shimmers, they're fine. Yeah, there are some right here, but just a little bit. And from the wearing point of view, I think that everything is great. Time for the second look, and before we start, let me show you something. I used these 3 brushes yesterday for doing my makeup, and now you know that these 2 shades, this one and this one, they can stain. So be careful with these 2. Of course, it's possible you can clean brushes, but it will definitely take time, and sometimes you have to wash up to 10 times just for cleaning them fully, and actually at some point it's okay. So be careful with these 2 shades, now you know. Today I'm gonna do something green. I want to try these 4 shades, and as well this one and this one. This beauty, it's currently on camera, it looks like it's a little bit purple, but it has visible green base, and that's why it's far better to apply these 2 together. Otherwise, the shade, it may look a little bit strange, so bear in mind. And I want to combine these 2 because this one contains purple and this one contains kind of pink, purple, something like this. More pink, of course, but this one contains pink as well. And talking about these shades, they are a little bit kind of gray brown, but this one contains a bit of green. I want to apply them on the lower lid, at least that's the plan. Let's start, and we're gonna start from the upper lid and from this beautiful green shade, kind of green, not the right one. Let's start. We'll see how it goes with this shade. Probably I will use the lighter shade from the palette for blending it a little bit, but we will see, of course. Let's go. I'm starting from the outer corner. Probably today I'm gonna have a wing as well, but not sure, at least for now. Beautiful shade, like it, love it. I'm gonna add it till the crease and even a little bit above, because it's gonna be my main shade today, and I'm gonna apply it in the crease as well, at least a little bit. Right here is quite pigmented actually, and you can layer it a little bit, and it's quite creamy, at least it seems like. Warning, you can't really blend green shades into skin. You can blend edges, but don't try to blend them into skin, because otherwise it may look a little bit, I would say, creepy, a little bit strange. So, applying. Interesting shade, I like it. It's a little bit mint or something. Lovely. Now I'm gonna grab a big fluffy brush, and let's try the lighter shade from the palette. I'm gonna blend edges, just simply edges, using this light shade. And you know what, it contains a little bit of pink, so actually should be fine. Blending only edges because I don't want to have any harsh lines. As usual, blending everything together, and I can blend this light shade into skin a little bit. Let's have some fun, and let's add this shade. I have it already. Actually, we're gonna talk about that later on, of course. Grabbing the shade, as I already told you, it has green base. That's why I'm applying it closer to green shade, and it's gonna be our transition shade. And till the middle. And can apply it a little bit closer to outer corner. And as the shade has visible base, don't forget to blend edges, at least a little bit. Changing the side, and let's add this beauty. This shade doesn't have visible base. It's fully transparent. And it's gorgeous. For some daily looks, this shade is amazing. Applying in the center, moving to the inner corner, and of course applying the shade above the crease. Let's add probably a bit more green right here, and what's left moving to the inner corner. Because this beautiful topper, I mean this one, as I already told you, it doesn't have visible base. And with this green story, it may look a little bit strange. Moving to the lower lid, and I'm gonna start from this interesting shade. It's a mix of gray, olive, and brown. Applying it in the outer corner and blending it a little bit. Actually, you can blend these two together. They should work kind of nicely. Moving. I definitely need a wing here. Let's try some shimmers, starting from this one. It's a little bit flaky as this one actually. Okay, now you know it's super creamy, and it's a little bit gray. Applying it right here. It was a bad idea. I should have chosen another brush. Okay, not that easy. Fine. Oh, it's beautiful. Complicated shade, quite complicated. And now let's try this one. Again, might be a little bit flaky as well, so be careful with it. And it's super creamy. Okay, I think that I have way too much product on the brush, so take enough extra. And applying closer to the inner corner. Beautiful. It's even a little bit silver, I would say. Great. Blending everything together and blending the edges a little bit. In the inner corner, let's try to add the lighter shade from the palette. Because I need something fully neutral. It looks kind of funny, adding black liner near the lash line and moving it between and applying it between the lashes. So let's play a game. I want to add something green in the waterline. So adding it. Probably it should have been something lighter, but okay, anyway, I will keep it. And let's draw a wing, and today I'm gonna use an eyeliner. Natasha Denona. I think that I need a small brush as well. And let's draw. I need an inner line as well because my wing today is super long, so I should kind of return my eye back to normal. So drawing an inner line. Final result. Looks interesting. I like it. And today I've tried 7 new shades, and all shades were kind of nice. The only thing that these 2 shades, again, might be a little bit flaky, so be careful with them. Same thing as here. And this color story is a little bit tricky. If we talk about green eyeshadows I've tried today, the green one was fine, but this beautiful shimmer, be extremely careful with it. First of all, it stains. Second thing, if you apply it over something pink, you're gonna have something dirty because this shade has visible green base. Take a look, it's visible. And if you apply it over pink, you're gonna have something brown, something a little bit dirty, so please be careful. You can, well, still, I don't suggest applying it over purple. Near, maybe, but over, not really. Same thing, you can probably have something dirty as a result, so be careful. I like all shades I've tried today. They were nice and beautiful look. Love it. Let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on lips. Lip liner from P. Louise, Luscious Love. Beautiful shade, interesting. Talking about these lip liners from P. Louise, they are soft, creamy, but they are not long-lasting because it's waxy story and it's not a gel-based formula. But if you apply it over a powder, it would stay longer in place. Small tip for you. And as well, I've applied this lip gloss from Charlotte Tilbury in shade Pillow Talk. And I think that this combo looks interesting. What do you think? So guys, yeah, not that many shades are left. Actually, around six shades are left, and I will do my best for trying all of them tomorrow. And I like this palette. I think that it's lovely, it's great, and you can do some nice looks with it. Now I'm gonna show you I look closely, and we are gonna see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today around 10 hours, maybe a little bit more. And let's take a look. I think that looks fine, don't you think so? As a reminder, on this side I've used an eyeshadow primer, on this side I haven't used anything. Yeah, on this side eyeshadows, they started to crease, but I can't really tell you that everything looks bad. Not really, everything looks fine. Talking about lower lid, actually same thing, everything looks great. And oh no, they started to crease right here on this side. Hope it's visible, but same thing, I can't really tell you that it looks bad, super bad. And as an option, you can always kind of fix it a little bit. And lower lid is fine. The only thing that some shimmers, they can kind of move a little bit on the lower lid, but still for 10 hours, I think it's okay. Let's look, and today I'm gonna do smoky eyes. We haven't tried these 4 matte eyeshadows and these 2 beautiful toppers. So I'm gonna use these 2 guys on my upper lid, most likely, and on my upper lid, I will use these 2 beautiful shades. On lower lid, these 2. And yeah, kind of. We will see. Probably I will add something else, but I'm not quite sure, at least right now. Let's start from the darkest shade for the day, and it's gonna be this one. It looks even a little bit cool tone and quite interesting. And this, we should have something really simple and kind of a basic look. So applying this beauty over my upper lid until the crease. Beautiful, interesting shade. I like it, and yes, it's a little bit cool tone. Layer in this shade a little bit, and now let's blend. And I'm gonna use this shade for blending everything into skin. It's gonna be our crease shade, and I'm gonna use it for blending everything into skin. Why not? Starting from the crease. Quite an interesting shade as well. Beautiful, fully neutral, a little bit beige with pink undertone. Great. Potato looks perfect. And what's left on my brush, I'm blending into skin. And of course, blending the edges right here a little bit. And these two guys, they are blendable. At least it seems like they don't stuck. Moving to the lower lid, and I'm gonna start from this shade and I'm gonna apply it closer to the outer corner. Probably, well, we'll see. Starting from the outer corner, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit brighter and has a bit of lilac. So these two they're not the same on eyelid and it's visible. Blending edges a little bit, and you know what? Let's add a little bit of this one closer to the outer corner. Just simply mixing everything together. And closer to the inner corner, of course, we are gonna add this beautiful shade. Maybe I will add it in the inner corner as well. I don't know. Just now applying it. Not super pigmented, but it might be layered. Now, in the inner corner, I should add something lighter. Probably the shade I've used already, of course. And it's gonna be this one, I think. It should work nicely with both stories. Applying in the inner corner. Yeah, great. And blending the shade into the previous. And of course, if you want, you can keep everything like this. Fully matte look. Beautiful and interesting. And I should try shimmers. And we are gonna start from something pink. I'm gonna use the pink one closer to the outer corner. This beautiful neutral shade, it's a little bit champagne. I'm gonna use closer to the inner corner. Probably this brush is not the greatest for these eyeshadows. Yeah, it's not enough. Be careful with the shimmers. I will try to show it to you. You know, if you try to grab a little bit more, they may appear flaky. So bear in mind. Applying closer to the outer corner. Wow, beautiful shade, interesting. Neutral, beautiful. Changing the side and grabbing the lightest one. And let's apply as well. And mixing these two together a little bit. Let's have some fun. I'm gonna add this beautiful topper above. Just extra glitters. In the center. Now, near the lash line, I'm gonna use eyeliner from Essence shade 5. And as well, I will add it in the waterline. So adding and of course blending. The only thing that near the inner corner, I want to add something lighter. And again, blending the edges. Adding something lilac closer to the inner corner. Final look. And today I don't wear false lashes. I was a little bit lazy, and as this look might be used as a basic daily look, why not using just simply mascara? And I used this mascara from L'Oreal Telescopic Lift. Actually, it's a beautiful mascara, but you know, when you just open it, it may stick lashes together a little bit. So you should wait till, I would say, up to 2 weeks, and then this product works perfectly. The only thing that it can transfer a little bit, so be careful. But it works. It works beautifully and it gives nice result. So sharing my thoughts. I think that this look is kind of nicely, and you know what, I like this beautiful shade from Essence. The only thing that it's not really that pigmented, so you have to layer. Talking about the shades I used today, these two guys are kind of simple, basic for some daily looks. I think that these two shades are great. They are fully neutral. So if you prefer something cool tone, or instead if you prefer something warm, you can use both in both cases. And this shade, actually, it's the perfect It's a neutral champagne shade. This one is a beautiful neutral pink shade, like it, like both. Talking about matte eyeshadows, it was easy. Today everything was perfect and everything was easy. So this beautiful slightly pink and light color story is great. It's easy to work with these eyeshadows and it was easy to blend them. So I didn't have any issues today. And these guys, they are kind of creamy, I would say, and not dusty at all. So I like this look. Yes, it looks simple. I do agree, but for some daily needs, I think that why not? Let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on lips. Lip liner from Natasha Denona in shade Natasha, beautiful, slightly cool tone shade, and lipstick from L'Oreal in shade 102, fully neutral pink, I would say even bright pink, a little bit bright pink, and lip gloss, it's a sample from Givenchy in shade 2. And this combo looks nice, I think. Yeah, beautiful. So like it. Like it. Now I'm gonna show you eye makeup look closely and we are gonna see each other in the evening. Hello. I have my makeup on around 10 and a half hours, maybe even a little bit more. So let's check it out. On this side, I've used an eyeshadow primer. On this side, I haven't used anything, and I still think that this side looks fine. Yeah, some eyeshadows, they kind of creased a little bit right here, especially the most problematic area, but it's kind of fine. I can't tell you that it looks bad. No, it looks okay for 10 hours. This side looks perfectly, no issues, and shimmers, they're still in place and they didn't fall off. I think that everything is kind of fine. And of course, we're gonna start our discussion from some basic information. This eyeshadow palette costs 20 euro. We have 20 eyeshadows here, and each single refill weighs 1.4 grams. And actually, it's quite a lot. And if we talk about all eyeshadow palettes from Beauty Bay, they are made in China, and in most of the cases, one single eyeshadow weighs 1.4 grams. If you wonder whether these two eyeshadows are more or less the same, well, there are some shades which are kind of look similar, I would say. So, time to talk about the quality. In overall, I like eyeshadow palettes from Beauty Bay, and I think that for this money, these eyeshadows, eyeshadow palette, sorry, they are great, really. Quality is amazing, especially for this money, but there are some drawbacks, and of course, we're going to discuss it. Here we have beautiful pastel story and quite nice shades, and these shades, they work nicely together. Talking about matte eyeshadows, they are pigmented, guys. They are quite pigmented and they are creamy, and at the same time they are not dusty. It's quite easy to work with them, but there are some shades that can stuck a little bit and you have to be careful with these shades, and in most of the cases it's related to bright shades or dark shades. Talking about light shades, in most of the cases they are great, no issues while working with them, no issues while layering them. The only thing that here we have an issue with this beautiful shade. Unfortunately, it can stuck a little bit and it's not that easy to blend it with some other shades. Talking about this purple shade, unexpectedly, it was easy. It was easy to work with it, and I thought that it would be more kind of dry, but no, it's quite creamy, and I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, and I think that it's great. Talking about shades that can stuck, as I already told you, this one can stuck a little bit, this one can stuck a little bit, and if I'm not mistaken, this one a little bit. Others are fine. You can easily wear these eyeshadows as it is. What I do like about these matte eyeshadows, you don't have to use eyeshadow primers or any liquid eyeshadows, any pencils, any cream eyeshadows, because you can easily layer these beautiful matte eyeshadows and they are going to be bright enough and they are going to stay in place till the end of the day. From the wearing point of view, I didn't have any issues with matte eyeshadows. With shimmers, yeah, and at the same time it is expected because I have slightly deep eyes, and in my case, in most of the cases, all shimmers, especially creamy shimmers, they can crease, and in my case it's expected, and that's why I prefer applying them over some liquid eyeshadows or over primers. So shimmers, beautiful. They are great. Of course, there are some shades so that I do like, and there are some shades which are kind of not quite sure. From the quality point of view, I'm not that happy with this particular shade because it's flaky, honestly, and I would say it's the most flaky shade if we compare this one to others. These two might be a little bit flaky as well, but it depends on the specific brush you're gonna use. But this one is worse. This shade can stain a little bit, so be careful with it. And as well, this particular shade has visible green base, and apply it over something green, because if you're gonna apply the shade over something pink, for instance, you're gonna have something brown or gray brown, and it may not look that nice. So you should be careful with this particular shade. Others are kind of fine, but of course, this shade, it has visible base as well. It's quite dark, and I would say it's a mix of dark blue with purple, so it's far better to apply it over something. And don't forget to blend edges, because if you don't do it, it may appear again a little bit dirty. Same thing for this shade, be careful with it, but it's not, the base is not that dark, so you can easily apply it over some mid-tone shades. Other shades are kind of great, and you can apply them as it is, and no need to use something before applying them. The only thing that this shade is fully transparent, I would say. It doesn't really have visible base, and it's far better to apply it over something. And actually, this shade is great and beautiful. This shade has also slightly visible base, but I would say slightly, because you can apply it just simply as a topper. You can apply all these shimmers using brushes. No need to use fingers. No need. Of course, if you want to have brighter result, if you don't want to layer using a brush, you can use your fingers, but you can, it's doable. You can easily apply all these shimmers with a brush. So no issues at all. From the wearing point of view, some shimmers, they can move a little bit, especially on the lower lid, and as well be careful while applying these shimmers, because some of them might be a little bit flaky, as I've already told you, and while applying these pieces they can fall off a little bit, and it's not that easy to remove. It's not that easy to remove these small pieces, and yeah, they're gonna stay with you till the end of the day. So just simply be careful while applying it. Yes, they can crease. It's true. They can crease because they are creamy. They're creamy, they are soft, and if you have hooded eyes, deep eyes, if you have oily prone skin, I suggest applying such shimmers over eyeshadow primer or over liquid eyeshadow. Personally, I do prefer liquid eyeshadows, and it's quite crucial that these products, these liquid eyeshadows or cream eyeshadows, can fully dry down. And in this case, if you use such products before, you wouldn't have any creases. Everything would stay in place till the end of the day, and you shouldn't have any issues. Now, let's talk about the color story. And honestly, it's quite interesting, I would say, because we have slightly pink story and a little bit green-gray story. And you know what? This palette reminds me of this new palette from Cosmic Brushes. A review is going to be published soon, and this look is the last look using this palette. And you know, these two color stories, I mean, they look quite similar, I would say. Not exactly, but a little bit similar. Here we have pink pastel shades, here we have pink pastel shades, and here we have as well something green, and same thing here. But here we have as well more blue story. And you know what? This palette is fully neutral cool tone. We don't have any warm shades here. We don't have any. Moreover, we have This shade, this one, and this one, they are even gray on skin. Of course, this shade has a little bit of olive undertone, so it's a kind of a mix of beige with gray and with a bit of green. Interesting, complicated shade, and I was like, wow, unexpectedly beautiful. These two, they have gray undertone. So if you're a cool tone girl, if you like something neutral or something cool tone, I think that you would probably like this palette. Talking about pink story, I would say that these two shades are also are a little bit cool tone. These two are a little bit as well because they contain a bit of lilac purple. So yeah, if you ever wanted to try such color stories, why not? Now let's discuss all shades. We are gonna start from matte, simple, basic, white white milk white shade, nothing to it, it just simply, it's super simple. This one is a little bit more complicated, and actually it's a beautiful shade, and it's a mix of light beige with a bit of pink, and it's fully neutral. This shade is wonderful. It's a mix of purple and golden. It doesn't really have visible base, and I suggest applying it over something. Beautiful neutral purple shade. And if you want to buy this palette from Natasha Denona just simply because of the purple shade, buy this palette, because we're going to discuss it quite soon. These two, they look kind of similar, and the quality, I would say, is quite similar as well. Maybe Natasha Denona is a little bit more creamy, but honestly, while applying, while layering, it may not be even visible. Moving on, this one, it's kind of gray, I would say neutral gray shade with beige. I thought I wanted to start from matte shadows, and now in the Sky I've been you everything. Anyway, moving on. Beautiful light pink shade, neutral light pink. I love it, and it contains a bit of beige. Beautiful white pink with a bit of golden. Suggest applying it over something. It doesn't have visible base. It's more like a sparkle topper. This one, as well, quite interesting. A mix of lilac with light pink. Interesting, looks beautiful, and you can mix these two together nicely. They would work super together. These two should work nicely together as well. This one, neutral champagne with a bit of, I would say, even gray. Interesting shade, looks great for some daily looks, perfect. Bright pink dot, nothing to it, but it's okay, it looks funny. This one, neutral pink with a bit of something gray, but it looks more neutral than cool tone. This one as well, super interesting and super complicated shade. A bit of beige with brown and pink. It's a beautiful transition shade, really. If you ever wanted to try something like this. And I think that I have found some similar shades from other palettes, for instance, from Huda Beauty. I think that this shade looks quite similar to this one. Oh no, sorry, no, not from this palette, it was from the other one. But yeah, I saw something similar to it. This shade is perfect. It's one of the most complicated shades from this palette. Bright pink with a bit of silver glitters, a light green with olive. Beautiful, interesting shade, and again, it's a little bit pastel, and it can stain a little bit. Be careful with it. By the way, this shade can stain as well, and this one as well, and this one, of course, and this one. This shade is not new to Beauty Bay, and I'm gonna show you a palette with this particular shade. It's metallic with the green base and with the purple shimmers and a bit of pink shimmers. Interesting shade, but you can't really wear it as it is. You have to combine it with something dark or with something green. Perfect. And one more interesting shade from this palette, as I think that I've already described it to you. It's a mix of brown, beige, gray, and olive. Perfect shade, and it's super complicated. I think that I don't have any shades like this. I've tried to find something similar, but I couldn't. Honestly, I couldn't. The shade is wonderful. This one, gray. A mix of brown and gray. beautiful as well. This one is just simply lighter and it may appear even a little bit silver in some cases. Lilac, beautiful lilac with a bit of purple, because sometimes we can have something like this, lilac with a bit of blue, but here we have lilac with a bit of purple. So these two guys, look at them. They are not exactly the same. Maybe currently on camera they look similar, but they aren't. This one is more blue, as I already told you. This one, complicated, and I suggest wearing it as a part of some smoky eyes, because we have, again, base here. It's the dark blue with purple, and we have extra dark blue and purple glitters here. And one more beautiful neutral pink shade with gray undertone. So this one is a little bit cool tone, and this shade looks quite similar to one shade from Huda Beauty. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, to this one. And now let's do some swatches. We're gonna start from this beautiful purple shade because it reminds me this palette from Natasha Denona and this particular purple shade. They look super close, especially on eyelid. So I think that these two are kind of similar, and you can, if you want to buy this palette just simply because of the purple shade, you can easily buy this palette from Beauty Bay and save a little bit. Other shades are not the same, and I just simply wanted to show you this beautiful purple shade. Talking about this purple shade from this palette from Beauty Bay, it's called Love Notes. I think it was released 2 years ago or something. They are not exactly the same. Here we have more, I would say, red undertone, and the quality are not the same. Here, this purple is drier than this one, and this one is way better, and it's easier to work with this particular purple shade. Talking about other shades from this palette, well, honestly, yeah, these two, they look quite similar, but you know what? We don't really have that many similar shades. Actually, only this purple, and that's it, I would say. More or less, that's it. Probably these two guys, light pink, they look quite similar, but again, they are not exactly the same, or they are, just they don't really remember. Well, they look quite close, and actually on eyelid, these two shades are gonna look more or less the same. If you wonder about these lilac shades, let me do some swatches. I haven't filled them closely, but I can do something like this. They are not exactly the same, but in some cases, if you apply them over something, they may look the same. This one from this palette, Love Note, as I've already told you, has a little bit more blue undertone, while this one has a little bit more purple undertone. But in some cases, it may not be visible at all. Eyeshadow palette from Huda Beauty. Here we have some shades that look kind of close to this palette, and I'm referring to these slightly pink shades. They are not exactly the same if we compare them to this palette from Beauty Bay, but probably let's do some swatches. I don't really remember whether I did them closely or no, but we are gonna do some right now. Shade Brave from Huda Beauty and shade My Beloved shade from Beauty Bay. They are fully different. As you can see, this one is way too dark, this one is definitely lighter. If you wonder about this shade, it's too light if we compare it to Beauty Bay. Probably as an option, we can try to compare this shade to this one, but again, we're gonna have different undertone in this case. So take a look, this one is more pink, this one is more beige, and other shades are not close enough. Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. Here we have a beautiful light, bright pink, and yes, of course, it looks quite similar to this light pink shade from this palette from Beauty Bay. Are they the same? Not really. Huda Beauty has more, I would say, pink undertone, while Beauty Bay has more, I would say, neutral beige undertone. But in some cases, again, they may look quite similar on eyelid. Other shades. Honestly, I would say that this shade is look looks quite similar to my beloved shade from Beauty Bay. But same thing, they look quite close, but they are not exactly the same. But these two are super, super close. So again, if you wanted to buy this palette from Huda Beauty just simply because of this shade, Beauty Bay is an option as well. Other shades are kind of not exactly the same. The only thing, this particular shade, beautiful metallic shade, it reminds me a little bit this shade from Beauty Bay. Again, they are not exactly the same, but these two, I think that they are quite close to each other. A bit different undertones, but still on eyelid they may look quite similar. Back again to Natasha Denona, and this time pastel palette, and we have two interesting shades here. The first one is this one, and it looks kind of similar to this beautiful shade from Beauty Bay. And honestly, I would say that they are super, super close. Especially they're gonna look more or less the same on eyelid. Talking about this bright shade from Beauty Bay and this beautiful bright pink shade from Natasha, well, again, not the same. This one is definitely brighter from Beauty Bay. This one looks more pastel and more with a white undertone. And on eyelid, they are not gonna look the same. Next palette from Natasha Denona, Retrogram. And we're gonna start from this light green shade. It's not gonna be exactly the same as this one from Beauty Bay. Beauty Bay is gonna be more green, would contain more green, while a shade from Natasha Denona would contain more white. And if you actually can suggest combining these two together, because one is darker, the other one is lighter. And as well, we have a beautiful, interesting shade in this palette from Natasha Denona. This one, it's a kind of a mix of beige with olive. And at some point, I was thinking that it might be more or less the same, similar shade to this one, but not really. This one contains more gray undertone, while the shade from Natasha Denona contains more green. And that's why I think that this shade is quite unique and super interesting. Moving to shimmers, yes, I've already shown you one, but now I'm gonna show you more. Talking about this palette from Cosmic Brushes, actually we have quite similar shades here. Are they the same? No. Shade from Cosmic Brushes is more interesting. More or less the same color story, but they are not exactly the same. And I would say that this shade from Cosmic Brushes is definitely better and the quality is better. Here we have more like a basic metallic. Here we have something extremely interesting. And this shade is a triochrome actually, while this one is more like a duochrome. As well, I have quite similar shade from, I think it's from Bernovich or from Glam Shop. Let me show it to you and let's do some swatches. It's from Bernovich L12 and it's triochrome as well. And from one side, these three, they look quite similar, but from the other side, they look quite differently. And I would say that these two are super close to each other. Just take a look. Next shade, white with a bit of golden and with a bit of pink. And honestly, when I saw this shade, I thought immediately about this palette from Beauty Bay and about this shade. And I thought that they're more or less the same, but honestly, after filming swatches, they aren't. This one from this small palette, more golden, while this shade is more kind of pink. And one more similar option, Bernovich shade X52. And here we have more or less the same color story. Maybe it doesn't look exactly the same, but as a part of an eye look, I think that these two, they may look exactly the same. And actually all these three shades, they can look exactly the same depending on a specific look. So as an option, why not? And our last shade for today is this one. And I have an exactly the same shade in this palette from Beauty Bay. And guys, they are the same. It's just simply the same shade, but in different palettes. So if you have this palette from Beauty Bay and if you want this particular shade, I don't really think that you need this new palette from Beauty Bay. And if you can, try to catch this palette from Beauty Bay, because I think that it's gorgeous. For 12 € you receive 9 beautiful toppers, 9 beautiful shimmers, and this palette is super great. So now you know, and it was our last shimmer for today, and as I've told you, it stains, so be careful with it. So let me know down below what you think about this new palette from Beauty Bay, and do you like in overall eyeshadow palettes from Beauty Bay? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if yes, don't forget to put a thumbs up and of course consider subscribing. I wish you a pleasant day and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Ciao ciao!